Once I had this injury and the doctors gave no hope, I realized that the biggest fight is not outside but within me, and I had to win over it. So I kind of broke it into parts and started generating motivation from my own self rather than seeking it outside. Don't let bad days define your journey. The correct term is person with a disability, and disability is not a bad word. It is recognizing that you're a person first who's having a disability. When we started RampMyCity, there are two things that we majorly concentrate on. One is that accessibility is a charitable cause. We have to make it more popular. So target locations which are very popular. दिखना चाहिए आम आदमी को कि हमने कुछ किया है.
What does it take to rebuild your life when the world around you refuses to make space for you? After a spinal cord injury changed his life, Prateek Khandelwal discovered that the real barriers weren't physical, they were societal. Instead of accepting exclusion, Prateek chose action. From installing ramps in restaurants to transforming public spaces across cities, he sparked a movement that redefined accessibility and dignity. Today, he's a national award-winning social entrepreneur and the founder of RampMyCity. This is not just a story of resilience, it's a story of changing mindsets.
Hi, today I have a very interesting guest with me. Let's get to know him. Hi, Prateek. Thank you for joining us on Expressions. Very happy and delighted that you're here today.
And thank you for having me on the podcast.
Thank you. So, you've got a bit of a personal story to share. Could you talk to us about it and, about your injury, about your journey, and about your mission at RampMyCity?
Yeah, sure. So, as a guy in his mid-20s, back in 2014, I was living my life and living it pretty well. I had a successful career. I was traveling all over the world. I was a social butterfly. I had good social circles, great family, and pretty much everything that a guy in his 20s would dream of. On 30th May 2014, I had this fall in an under construction building, which completely changed my life. I had a spinal cord injury, due to which I had a paralysis waist down, and wheelchair became a part of my life. And what also changed was people's attitude towards me, where I was treated only as a patient. Friends were no longer speaking to me. People were pitying me. I became wheelchair dependent in a country which had accessibility issues. And a lot of people thought that death would be an easier option than to go through any of this. But then I decided I had to fight this, and I had to do it for myself and for millions of people who go through the same fate because of some mishap in their life. Yeah, so it took me 12 to 18 months to realize all this and to think more positively and to build my life again. And for the first 3 to 4 years, I was just at home, trying to recover, trying to gain as much physical independence as possible, trying to walk again. And then after 4 years, I became more confident. I started to go out more. And when I started going out more, I realized the problem of inaccessibility in India. I did not want to be a part of the problem. I wanted to be a part of the solution. That is when I thought we should get in something which actually solves this problem rather than depending on the government. And that is when we brought in RampMyCity.
Great. So you had, during your injury and your recovery period, you had to listen to your body very closely, right? If I read, and you've shared a lot of your quotes from your days back when you were recovering. So how you reacted to food, effort, rest, and even 8 to 10 hours a day for physiotherapy. I mean, it must have been something. I mean, it's not easy. You need a lot of patience to do that. So for viewers facing long, uncertain journeys, health, career, personal, what lesson from your recovery would you want them to know?
So once I had this injury and the doctors gave no hope, I realized that the biggest fight is not outside but within me, and I had to win over it. The journey was tough because there were no medical challenges, but then I'm very systematic in my head, so I kind of broke it into parts and started generating motivation from my own self rather than seeking it outside. So for example, there are a couple of incidents I'd like to share. One is during my course of injury, I used to have these bad days where I am not doing exercises properly or my body is not reacting as well. And that used to really make me very angry on myself. And I used to have these tempers for days and weeks and months where I used to be in really bad moods, thinking I'm not going to recover, or what is this life about? And then I slowly realized that my own temper is acting against me because I'm not able to focus on the next thing I should do. And then I categorically started focusing on not the negatives but the positives, and to not be in bad phases or depressions for so long. And then it was a journey to cut it down. It was an effort that I don't have to be in bad moods for weeks. And I used to cut it down from 30 days to 7 days, 7 days to 1 day, 1 day to 1 hour, 1 hour to that moment saying, okay, something bad happened right now. What can I learn from this, and how can I just let it go? And that kind of really helped me, because the next day when I was doing the same exercise, I used to take the learning from the last incident and build myself to do better at it, and actually started working in my favor, where a bad day actually used to motivate me to do better the next day and actually started helping me in my recovery. So one is don't let bad days define your journey. We all have them. Sometimes some boss will shout on you, or someday you'll miss a cab, someday a friend will not act how you want, and we all have bad days. But don't let it rule your mind and spoil everything for you. It is a momentary lapse everybody has, but the thought of being sane and taking the right decision, that is what we should drive ourselves towards. Second is another important very lesson, and this was about when I started walking. So I walk on crutches and on elbow crutches and walker. So there was this walking period in my life where I had a great physiotherapist, and I was walking at home. And once he said we should make it more challenging, and he took me to a sports field outside my house, and he chose this very difficult terrain for me to walk on, which was rocky, muddy, had full of stones. And he just decided a stretch of land for me, saying this is the track that you have to walk on. And looking at that and standing at the beginning of the stretch, I just looked at it and I got terrified. I was like, what the hell? Like, I can't do this, like, right? I can't walk this like this. And thought that, and my physiotherapist was standing on the other side. So I just waved at him and I said, नहीं होगा, मेरे से नहीं होगा ये, बहुत मुश्किल है, ये मेरे से नहीं होगा. Then he just came close to me and he told me something that still forms the essence of who I am. And he said, don't worry how difficult it is going to be or whether you're going to reach your destination or not. Just worry about the next step and just take that ride. So that really was, I think, life-changing for me, because it just decluttered so many heavy thoughts in my head that I don't have to worry about how difficult it is or whether I'm going to do it. I just have to worry about the next step. That is, I think, something that we also need to learn, because so many of us are carrying so many baggages of the failures that we have, places we have not been good at, setbacks that we have had, that we let that rule our next step. And somehow we need to declutter that. And I also decluttered, and I just worried about the next step, and I started taking it. And it was not like I walked the whole thing on the first day. I fell, and I fell for a month. I kept on falling somewhere on the path. But the job was simple. When you fall, just get up, brush off the dust, learn what you did wrong, and just attempt to take the next step right. And that kind of really helped me in actually completing that track after a month. And I think that learning from it, that generating motivation about the next step, being motivated and decluttered in your head, I think that really helped me define my journey. And I think those are the learnings that I also take into RampMyCity.
So after your injury, you could have also chosen the stability of a job rather than doing the uncertainty of, taking up entrepreneurship journey. So be honest, did you ever have that self-doubt? Did that ever creep in that, okay, will I be able to be a CEO founder? I've got this, disability. Did you ever think...
I think after the injury, it was existential crisis, first of all. That can I do anything? Not a job or founder, anything. And as far as the job is concerned, I was already working as a software engineer at Infosys before my injury. But I am an engineer by education, but by blood, I'm a Marwadi. So I am always thinking business in my head. So even after my injury, I was only thinking about I'm very business minded. So what can I do to actually have a fulfilling life and something that makes me financially independent also. So yeah, there was in terms of a career, yes, there was I think of 2014 to 2020 for 6 years I was unemployed and I was pretty much living off my family's money. But yeah, I was always thinking like, what can I build from here and what can I do to make sure that I am also financially independent. So yeah, that is how my thought process was.
And when you enter a new space today, what's the most common assumption people still make about disability, and how do you gently or firmly challenge it?
I think the most common assumption about disability or accessibility is that people think it's charitable in nature, and still the attitude of them towards you is that they need some help. And I think that is one of the common behavior that I find, where wherever they see me in a wheelchair, they will not think of me as a self-made entrepreneur doing something in life. They will always look at me as a wheelchair user wanting some help. And yeah, that is the common attitude that I get from people. But I've had so many, because I go out, that's my life, on being on field, so I come across so many people every day. I think the best way is to just smile it off and tell them that, see, the problem with India is, why do people have such behavior also, is you have to understand the root cause. As a country, we are plagued by so many issues like population, pollution, illiteracy, poverty, casteism. There's so many things that people are not aware about disability. We are still reaching there. So that is why the legacy of all the issues that are there has made disability not a priority for people to get that change in their behavior. And I think also because infrastructure is not supporting it for more people to come out, and if more people with disability come out, you will have more engagements with them, and your attitude toward them will change automatically. It's an automatic process. But because you don't see so many people with disability out in public space, and that is why that thought process of a person with disability in need of a help, or the attitude of pity towards them, is governed by that, because there's no micro engagements with them in our daily life.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is the attitude I face, but I understand the why they are coming from that thought process. So my attitude, my way of handling it is always with a smile and trying to make them more sensitized about what I require for them and how they should talk to me in a better way and in a smiling way, because there's no way of ridiculing and making them stand, but with a smile. Yeah, that's what I do.
Also, you've said that accessibility begins with conversation, honest dialogue, right? I mean, like you were mentioning now. So, what's the most uncomfortable but necessary conversation you've had with a business partner or a policymaker?
Not uncomfortable, but yeah, necessary conversation I've had is, as far as business people in the commercial space or business people are concerned, they don't consider accessibility as a mandate. They don't think accessibility should be done as as an instrument of inclusion, but mostly people in the business sector are doing it for charity, for goodwill, or just to get a brand name. They're not doing it because it is compliance. So in business, they're always looking for ROI, the return on investments. They're always thinking, okay, if I put X amount of money to make be more accessible or build more accessible building, how many people will I employ, or how many customers will come to me, what benefit is going to give to me. So those are the things that business leaders always are, yeah, they're going through those equations in their head, and sometimes it's difficult to make them explain that it's not about your profits, it's about equality and inclusion. So that is one. And with policymakers, I think the challenge is to push them to make this law more stronger, because right now the law is very advisory in nature, and hence a lot of establishments, both in public and private sector, they don't follow it properly, and hence the problem with accessibility is so large in India. So as policymakers, the push is to make it stronger on ground and make it more non-negotiable than it is currently. There are certain non-negotiables in the law itself, like Rights of Person with Disabilities Act was introduced in 2016, and that has some building code and harmonized guidelines which ensures equal access and equal opportunities for persons with disabilities. But what has happened is that that law is, though it says it should be a mandate, but it does not have any penalty or punishment attached to it. Just very recently, last year, Supreme Court in its latest observation has said that the law is very advisory in nature, and that is why everybody interprets the law in their own way and implements it in their own way. And that is why we see a big gap between policy and implementation. What there should be is, what the government is currently working on is to make certain non-negotiable whenever a new building is coming up, in terms of access to enter the building or within the building, or to escape in terms of a fire situation. What should be non-negotiables, and if you don't have those standards, accessibility standards, you will not be given the license to operate. And that is where we are reaching right now. So in the next few months or in a year, you will see that law getting stronger, and the new establishments or new buildings that are coming up, they can't escape it because they will not be given the license to operate. So that is where India is heading towards.
Nice. So Ramp My City is a mission, but it's also a business. How do you balance empathy with sustainability while building a community around accessibility?
So RampMyCity, so when we started building RampMyCity in 2018, it just started as a campaign where we thought that we are going to capture the attention of people by making some important restaurants in Bangalore accessible.
When you say we, so you had a team?
We had a core team of 4 people. So during that time, during our journey, 2018 is when the idea came up, and then we started approaching different restaurants, and 2020 we hit COVID, and 2022 is actually when we started generating revenue. But during this process, we realized that just if it is a charitable cause, it is not sustainable. It has to be a business, because see, what is India lagging currently? It is that the architects and the designers and the civil engineers or whosoever is designing our cities under various campaigns, smart cities, accessible India, whatever they are doing, somewhere the design part has gone lacking. And it is because they have not paid enough attention to the accessibility needs, and they have not provided a solution which caters to every section of society. So for us, when you're building RampMyCity, it is very important that the solutions that we are going to provide in terms of accessibility, it is complete in its nature. And we need to have a very strong design team to provide the solutions. And hence, that design team cannot be built by charity money. It had to be built through business, where we can have expert designers on our team to make sure that we can penetrate the pockets of India and provide the solutions that we are currently providing. And that is when the thought came to make it into a business and not into a social enterprise, actually.
Yeah.
And not just on an NGO. And yeah, that is how the thought came that if you have to provide professional solution in this space, you have to have a social enterprise rather than an NGO.
So your training goes beyond ramps and focuses on behavior also, especially the do's and don'ts of interacting with wheelchair users. What are some common mistakes people make, and what should they be doing instead?
That's a good question. So one is how you call them out. So a lot of people say a person with a physical challenge. What do you call them? Differently able or specially able? If I ask you. Differently able, because you think you might be offending them, and you say if one ability is not there, you've got a different ability, right? That's the most common logic behind it. And some people call them specially able because they think that Divyang is also a specially able word. Because they think if one characteristic or one part of your body has been taken away, you have been blessed and you're special enough to do something else. Now the point is both ways of calling them is wrong, because if I have to go by the same logic, you are doing something which is different than what he is doing or what he is doing, right? And that might be different, and you are good at what you are doing and he is good at what he is doing. Then both of you are differently abled. Correct? Both of you are differently able. And in the same logic, both of you are special also, because you're special in what you're doing and he's special in what he's doing.
I love the way you explain.
So it's both of you are specially abled also. So that is not the correct way of actually calling somebody out. It is, the correct term is person with a disability. And disability is not a bad word. It is recognizing that you're a person first who's having a disability. So you recognize the individuality of a person, that you're a person in a whole who has a trait which is a disability. For example, person with black hair, person with white hair, person with no hair, person who are left-handed, person who are right-handed, person wear glasses, person who with a certain religion, person with certain level of spirituality, person with different kind of diversity in a society, right? We all are a person in our own way, but that doesn't make us lesser than anybody else. It's the diversity in our complete personality, right? But it does not make you lesser than anybody else. So similarly, disability is a diversity. So you're a person with a disability. So that means you recognize the totality of a person who is having a diversity, and that is why person with a disability is the correct way to call somebody else. So that is one. Second is also that in do's and don'ts is, so how do you provide assistance to somebody? Sometimes when I go out to public places, as soon as people see me, they just want to come and grab my wheelchair and they want to just help me, saying, I'll take you, don't worry, I'll take you. They just think that I need help. Okay, and it's not like that always. I mean, yes, certain times if the path is not accessible or the ramp is steep, I will require help and I will call out like, yes, please help me. But sometimes they think that you need help. So it is also, you should understand where the help is required, and in order, yes, your intentions are right to provide help, but you can do it in a more courteous way, like by asking. And it's very simple question. Just ask like, how may I help you? What can I do for you? What kind of help you may require? So just ask before assuming that they require help.
Sure.
So yeah, those are a couple of things that people, very simple to understand, but if you can do that, it will make people with disability a lot more comfortable around you and in social circles.
When you first approached restaurants, what resistance did you face, and what finally convinced them that accessibility isn't charity but good business? And did any restaurant partnership surprise you the most?
So the first restaurant I approached was Fuzzy Cafe.
Yeah.
And Mr. and Mrs. Zorawar Kalra. Actually, I wanted to go on a date there. And when I called them up and they said they had 2 steps, so I tweeted to Mrs. Zorawar Kalra saying that I want to come there. You have these amazing food. My friend have gone there, but I'm not able to come. So can you please put a ramp? And then he was gracious enough, so his team put a wooden ramp there, and then he called me and invited me that come to our restaurant, and we are waiting to have you here. So when I went there and I saw that ramp, that actually like got my business mind running, saying, you know what, these kind of ramp that they have put, it was a temporary ramp, but this kind of ramp, like you can have it so many places.
Yeah.
So that was the start of RampMyCity. The thought that was, the seed came from there. So yeah, when we started from there, and then we started approaching different restaurants, like we approached the Olive Group with Mr. A.D. Singh, we approached Riaz Amlani, Social Work New at that time, we approached him, and then different restaurants in Bangalore. And I think over time, restaurants started having that infrastructure and realizing and coming back to us and saying that since the time they have these ramps, a lot of people with disability, not also person with disabilities or wheelchair users, but elderly citizens, people who you have old mom, dad at home using wheelchairs, pregnant women, people with temporary injuries, children on strollers. So many of these people are now visiting their restaurants because they're accessible. So not only and not a lot of cost has gone in putting a ramp. So not only have they become accessible, but actually it is a business case also, where because of the accessibility and the ramp that they have, their footfall has increased and they're seeing a rise in their business. So I think that is one business case that a lot of restaurant owners have shared with us.
Yeah, and that's a positive feedback and so helpful. So installing ramps in parks and hospitals impacts thousands of people at once. How did working with public space shift your understanding? I mean, was it different?
I'll tell you what. So the thing is, a lot of people think that because our name is RampMyCity, so we do only ramps. It started with ramps.
Okay.
But as we started expanding to different public sectors and different kind of establishments in the city, we realized that ramps, yes, the most visible and the obvious solution, but ramps is not the only thing that is required. Ramp is required for the entrance to a building, but there's so many things inside a building that is required. For example, a toilet, correct signages for visually impaired people. They require material in braille, or they require tactile. Children especially, they don't have play time because play areas are not built according to them. and so many other facilities that is required within a building that goes beyond a ramp. So over time, we became an organization that provides not only ramp, but actually end-to-end infrastructure solutions. So now when people ask me what is the meaning of RampMyCity, yes, ramp is our most popular product, but RampMyCity is also about, ramping is about when you elevate the status of anything from one level to the other. That is ramping, right? So when we say RampMyCity, we are elevating the status of the city and making it more accessible. So that is what RampMyCity today stands for. The public spaces in a city, like you can talk about schools, hospitals, parks, police stations, tourist spots, government buildings, all these places, they are owned by the government and highly inaccessible. So for them, we have started, rather than approaching the government and expecting them to fund the accessibility there, what we started doing was we started raising those funds from the corporates as a part of the CSR. So we went to the corporate and saying that, hey, corporate, you know what, these government buildings in our city require intervention, and why don't you put in money for a cause which is improving the accessibility of the city. And it was new to the corporates, and still new to, because it's just a 4th year in operation. But yeah, a lot of corporates have started to appreciate that they can contribute towards the sustainability part of the city and making more inclusive. So we started receiving funds for carrying out accessibility interventions in city, and then we approached the government, and then we said, hey government, we don't want funds from you, and government was very happy to know that. First of all, that they're not asking for funds. We said we don't want funds. What we want is a partnership from you where you give us the permissions to carry out these changes in infrastructure. So we want permissions from you. And I think government really liked this model, the PPP model, the public-private partnership, where the fund is coming from the corporate, the permission is coming from the government, and RampMyCity is the implementation partner. So that is the model that we have struck, and that is a business model, and that has allowed us opportunities in so many public sector buildings, which we are currently transforming through this model.
So beyond the physical ramps, how do technology and smart design play a role in making cities more inclusive today? If you could build one tech solution for accessibility right now, what would it solve?
I think we are already building it. One tech solution is, a lot of persons with disabilities today, when they want to go out anywhere, they don't have the information of where to go out, because the information accessibility in the city is not there. And India being a very inaccessible nation, sometimes people think that nothing is accessible out there, and hence they end up getting locked down in their homes only, and that's why we don't see them in public spaces. So what RampMyCity is doing is, they're currently working on building an app which provides this information to a person with disabilities, where you can see city-wise information on what are the accessible schools, healthcare centers, establishments in both public and private sector, which is accessible, what accessibility look like there, what are the facilities there, and making this information available to the general public. So that whenever they want to step out, they have complete information on their phone, and they can make an informed decision of where they want to go and how they want to go and what assistance they will require there. So that is the tech that we are building right now.
Wonderful. And is it all over India, or because you're there in Bangalore and Mumbai? So
in 10 cities right now, but yeah, we are bootstrap right now. Here's hoping that we raise some funding to make it pan-India.
I'm sure you will. So people see the finished ramp, not the struggle behind it. What's the logistical hiccup the most people would never imagine you go through?
Oh, there's a lot of it, because people only see the end product, so all the process that has gone behind there. They'll just see my smiling face and this that's the one that they'll see. But actually, it's a big process, and it starts right from, if you're working in the public sector, it starts from gaining permissions from the government to actually do some intervention. But before that, it starts from having a strong, technically sound team to carry out the accessibility audits of different public spaces where you want to bring in the intervention. So one is audits. Accessibility audits is a big part of our work, where our team is always on ground doing surveys and inspections and recce's of different public locations across the city. So one is that, understanding the problem, building solution around it, because in retrofitting, whenever we go, we see that because of space challenge, the amount of intervention you can do the scope is limited, because the building is already up and running. So you can't do much but whatever you can do within the given space constraint to bring out those solutions. So you need to have a technically strong team for that.
Yes.
So one is that what kind of solutioning we can do through the audits that we do. So auditing and solutioning is a very heavy work. Apart from this work, the second is getting permissions, because well, you might, as I just said some time back, it is not easy to go to the government and just say, hey, we are not like, you don't have to pay and you give us the permission. Like, it sounds easy. It is a
Big process.
it is a whole process. I mean, there's so many departments in the government and so many ministries, and it's broken down right from central government to the state government till the municipality level and to the local zone area. There's so many levels and so many hierarchies that you have to go through. So sometimes getting permissions takes its own sweet time. So that also takes a lot of our time in getting those permissions done. As far as implementation is there, we have kept it pretty simple. Implementation is straightforward, but most of our time goes into auditing, wrecking, solutioning, and getting the permission. So that is where most of the time goes.
So may I ask, how many are there in your team just now? I mean, you've grown, to
12 people. It's just 12 people, and then we hire people in different cities on contract basis. So if I have a project which I see for 6 months, then I will hire people for 6 months. So that's how we do.
So accessibility is often dismissed as being too expensive. From your experience, what are the biggest myths about the cost? What are the real financial barriers to do organizations like yours actually face?
So if you actually include accessibility right from the design stage, it is no additional cost.
Okay.
If you include it from the design stage itself, when the building is under construction. But when you're trying to do retrofitting, that is when some cost may come up, but that is not also some exponential figure. It is manageable figure, but you should be open to it because it may bring in some civil changes. So that is where we see some resistance from the building owners if you see some kind of civil change. But that is why RampMyCity has been able to scale also, because a lot of our solutions are not promoting civil change but are like add-on changes. For example, our ramps, we don't make civil ramps, we make metallic ramps that are built in a workshop directly installed on site. We make toilets also which are built in a workshop directly installed on site. So a lot of our work we have made quick fixes, so that, because I think that is the approach that works in a retrofitting environment. So yeah, if you're open to that kind of inclusion, accessibility is not very expensive.
And also, if you could redesign one funding or support system to better include PWD entrepreneurs, what would it look like?
So with the public works department, I think they need to be stronger in terms of compliance, and they're giving that no objection certificate to the new building. We still think there's a lack. A lot of new buildings are not following the law as per standards. And there needs to be a stronger check from the PWD department when the new buildings are coming up to make sure that accessibility wise they're following all laws and they're compliant, which I think is a little missing right now. So we need stronger enforcement from PWD department.
What do you actually see the biggest gap between policy and practice in India?
The biggest gap is the law itself, right? Because there's no strong policy, and hence there's no strong implementation. So policy enforcement is the biggest flaw in India. Once we fix that, we will see a lot of people falling in line, a lot of awareness already organically building, a lot of people coming out. Only if the government is more stricter towards कि अगर ये नहीं है तो फिर you will pay some penalty or there'll be some punishment. As soon as you attach that to it, you will see so many people just falling in line, and so many PWDs just being accepted into the normal life of India.
Yeah. So you're actually working towards that also, like you're working with
the government. Yeah, we are doing that.
So you found a rare product purpose fit without following a traditional startup playbook. What do you think truly drove your organic growth? I mean, I know that you've grown organically with numbers. Now, how many restaurants or...
restaurants. We are into everything. We are right from schools to healthcare centers to public parks to restaurants, to banks, to tourist spots, to hospitals. We are pretty much, we have covered a lot of sectors. So how did we
organically grow?
So I think when we started RampMyCity, there are two things that we majorly concentrate on. One is that accessibility is a charitable cause. We have to make it more popular. So target locations which are very popular. For example, so if you see in the last 3.5 years, what all have we covered in terms of popularity and making it more visible, because we wanted to make it visible, that दिखना चाहिए आम आदमी को कि हमने कुछ किया है, एक कोने में नहीं होना चाहिए. So yeah, let's start from Bangalore. So which is the most popular street of Bangalore?
MG Road, Flavel Road,
MG Road to Concert Street.
Church Street.
The
Village
Church Street is
Road.
Church Street is also the most wheelchair friendly street of India, made possible by RampMyCity, because all the commercial establishments on Church Street have a ramp. So that's one way of gaining eyeballs. Okay, now where are you from?
Chennai.
Chennai. But have you traveled to the north of India?
Yes.
Gurgaon, have you been to?
Yes.
Okay, Gurgaon, which is the popular spot?
I
Cyber Hub.
mean, yeah.
Cyber City.
Yeah.
So the entire Cyber Hub is made accessible by RampMyCity. All restaurants of Cyber Hub have ramps of RampMyCity. Then Delhi. Delhi, are you non-vegetarian?
No.
No. But Delhi, do you know where in Delhi is this famous butter chicken restaurants there? Gulati and have more. Okay, there's a Pandara Road market, the most popular market of Delhi. So completely made accessible by RampMyCity. Then if you go to Bombay, the top 40 restaurants of Bombay. Then if you go to Pune, Koregaon Park of Pune. Then if you go to Goa, the 19 June Road right in front of church and Mandovi River, that, or Donapala Beach or Mandovi River front. So those are the kind of work that RampMyCity has been doing, targeting popular places, because I think that gives us visibility. That also gives us business, because a lot of businesses who want to invest in you, they like this kind of thing because they also want visibility. So we are capturing visibility in this
Good
way.
thinking.
Yeah, Marwadi, right? So that, and yeah, with that, it also got us entry into places of, so one was visibility and second was impactful places. So when we were doing this, it also got us business into places of high public impact, like doing schools and healthcare centers and tourist spots and public parks. So yeah, it is going hand in hand, where we are capturing places of public visibility as well as high impact, and we are building both together in line to build an accessible India. That's our approach right now.
Wonderful. I'm sure you're going to do very well. How do cost, infrastructure, and city design influence whether someone chooses a manual or electric wheelchair in India, especially?
The manual wheelchair is of course less expensive. I'm using a manual wheelchair. It's less expensive, but in terms of, it gives you more freedom when I'm traveling, because the damage sometimes in the cargo, in flights and all, if your electric wheelchair undergoes some damage, then it is very difficult to get a new wheelchair, and then to in a new city, it might be a completely new situation for you, where some battery or something during transit has got damaged, and then you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So in terms of practicality, I will always go with a manual wheelchair. But in terms of ease of use, of course, the power wheelchair or the electric wheelchair is more beneficial. And also because a lot of people, I am having a wave-time paralysis, but a lot of people might have different disabilities starting right from neck. And in their cases, to roam around the city or to travel also, I think the electric wheelchairs with the joystick, it works in their favor, because it just makes them completely independent where they want to go. Whereas I, on a manual wheelchair, may require assistance somewhere on going on a ramp or in a non-accessible road, because somebody needs to push me my way through because it's not accessible. So yeah, those are the pros and cons with both. But I think I made this choice because of the travel I have in my life, and it has made it much easier for me.
Sure. Thank you. Also, is accessible travel a luxury today, or basic right we still ignore?
Luxury. Accessible travel is luxury. I'll tell you my own story. As you can see, the cities that we have built, 10 cities, and none of those cities have been gifted to us saying, come and do this. I have gone to each city and started building right on scratch, started right from approaching government authorities, approaching, auditing different locations, then approaching different corporates to raise funds for it, then approaching the vendors who can implement for us. And I built 10 cities from scratch in the last 3.5 years. So that obviously meant that I had a lot of travel to do. So when I started traveling, and my traveling started in 2022, when we got a first project outside Bangalore, and that was in Gurgaon, and that was through Oyo that we got, where Oyo wanted to make some popular place accessible. In my experience of traveling, I realized that in India, no budget hotels are accessible. No budget hotels are following the law. As per law, every hotel which has minimum 50 rooms should have one disabled-friendly room. But no budget hotel is following it. Now, when you then it's left as luxury segment. That means 4 stars and 5 stars. So in 4 stars and 5 stars also, they do have, most of them do have one disabled-friendly room. But the biggest problem in those rooms are, and this is, I don't want to name brand, but consider all brands, all big hotel brands, whichever you can think of. I've stayed in all. They have room which is a disabled-friendly room, but that is not built as per standard. So when you say then it is not built as per standard, what it does is when I enter the room, First of all, the door is not, to enter the room is not built as per standard. That means they're so heavy I can't push to enter the room. Then when I enter the room and I want to just charge my phone or shift on the bed, the bed height is too high for me to shift to the bed. Then when if I want to charge the phone, the power sockets in the room are so in some corner and all that I can't go and reach to the socket. Then if I want to change the AC temperature, I can't again because of the reach, because they're too high. And then if I want to go to the bathroom, there should be grab bar or the minimum radius to turn your wheelchair, or the shower seat, because you have to shift on a seat to take a shower. All of these, some very basic things have completely gone missing in disabled friendly rooms in all 4-star and 5-star hotels, and hence travel is very difficult. And hence whenever I go to a new city, I have to run through at least 5 to 10 hotels, get pictures from them to understand the accessibility of the room, and then make an informed decision of what am I getting into. And so it's difficult to travel, and sometimes my work gives me the little bit of leeway to stay in a expensive hotel, but a lot of 99.99% of India cannot travel like that. And hence we need a larger awareness where these are these billion-dollar enterprises like in Oyo or the other budget hotel chains, or even the luxury hotel chains. They're all driven by some very motivated entrepreneurs, and all pushing towards IPO, or already having a legacy behind them of billions of dollars. They still need more sensitization on how to build rooms for a person with disabilities, and if they don't have, how to include it in their ongoing properties. It's a huge market which needs to be still tapped on, because I think a lot of people with disabilities can't travel right now. Even and if you go online, your platforms like booking.com, Yatra, Make My Trip, they don't have information on accessible rooms. And that is why searching for accessible room online is a waste of time. There's a lot of gap in this market, and I hope people through your channel do also listen that it's a big market to tap, and we need to not only make rooms more accessible, but we need to also have information on accessible rooms on online platforms, so that people like us can travel more freely.
There was a lot of information. I couldn't process it. Can inclusion be taught, or must it be lived?
Inclusion is very simple, If you say, Prateek, what can I change today and to be more inclusive? Yeah. So I'll just say, change the way you talk to a person with disability. Because बहुत बार when we go out, we call them as inspirational figures, and you're so inspiring, Prateek, and more power to you, more power to you. I get so many more power to you that Hulk has started to have inferiority complex, I believe. And I think the thing that you can do is that next time you meet a person with a disability, rather than objectifying them as some inspirational figure, have a normal conversation with them. And what is a normal conversation? तो अगली बार जब हम उनसे मिलें तो उनसे पूछें, मौसम का मिजाज पूछें, खाने में क्या पसंद है पूछें, चाय पीते हैं या कॉफी पूछें, उनकी हॉबीज क्या हैं पूछें, हाल दिल पूछिए, हमारे ब्रेकअप और पैचअप होते हैं, देश का हाल पूछिए, मोदी, ट्रम्प, इंडिया, पाकिस्तान, चाइना, यूएसए की बात पूछिए, ग्लोबल वार्मिंग की बात पूछिए, स्टेट ऑफ इकोनॉमी की बात पूछिए, पोल्यूशन, पॉपुलेशन, वाइल्ड लाइफ की बात पूछिए, और हाँ, जाते जाते ये जरूर पूछिए कि अगली बार वो आपसे कब मिलेंगे, क्योंकि यही सारी बातें तो आप किसी आम इंसान से करते हैं ना? और हम भी तो वही हैं जी, एक आम इंसान जी। बॉडी में डिसेबिलिटी होना एक अलग बात है, लेकिन अगर एक इंसान दूसरे इंसान को इंसान की तरह ही नहीं देखेगा तो फिर उससे बड़ी डिसेबिलिटी क्या ही होगी. Isn't your inability to see another human being as a human being your biggest disability? May your response be reflected in your actions.
So on a personal level, coming back to the thing, on a personal level, how does FOMO show up for people with disabilities in everyday life? FOMO, fear of
missing out, yeah. How does it show up? As in, they feel that they're missing out on something outside? Yeah. Of course, it's a big part of their life. And it's a big part of their life because they are not included in anything, and they need somebody to talk to. And sometimes it's very hurtful also, because sometimes they're just looking for people to just have a heartful conversation with, because they've been totally secluded and isolated in one corner, and it's not a great state. But I always tell them to keep working hard, whoever I have a conversation or interaction with. And I also, can I recite some lines in Hindi? I also recite, I refer this poem to them always, which says कि लहरों से डर के नौका पार नहीं होती, कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती.
Yes, that's from Mr. Bachchan.
That's not from Mr. Bachchan, actually it's from Mr. Dwivedi, which is spoken by Mr. Bachchan in KBC.
Yeah.
नन्ही चींटी जब दाना लेकर चलती है, चढ़ती दीवारों पर 100 बार फिसलती है. मन का विश्वास रगों में साहस भरता है, चढ़ के गिरना, गिर के चढ़ना ना अखरता है. मेहनत उसकी हर बार बेकार नहीं होती, कोशिश करने वाले की कभी हारने की.
Absolutely.
So
Wonderful.
that is what I say, that कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती. Yes, the odds are against you, but probably it is also a time where you can do something that will define the future of this nation. And because this nation needs that inclusion and accessibility, and probably it's your opportunity to do something, and it may not be the most comfortable or the most pleasing journey, but you will do something that will change millions of lives. So keep trying and keep working hard, and the God is watching everything.
Nice. So you're into poetry also? Because
Absolutely, थोड़ा shocking शायद.
you're constantly finding workarounds, I mean, to navigate the world. So do you think that makes people with disabilities more comfortable with risk and innovation and better entrepreneurs also?
Yeah, of course. So I think, again, just how I'm leading my life and what I've also put outside, it is also an example for person with disability that they are not less than anybody. And if you want to build something, if you have the right kind of planning behind it, if you have the right kind of thought process, and if you know how to navigate your way, you can actually become successful professional, whether you're working for somebody or you have your own startup or business, whatever. The world is full of opportunities, and they're just waiting for people like you. You just need to keep on working hard and wait for luck to strike you, because luck and labor, they both go together. And I always tell them that don't be dependent on fate. The fate is dependent on you. So just go get this is your opportunity. So build something for this nation.
What would you tell someone who's scared and not feeling confident to start?
I would just throw them in the ocean. Like swim. You learn to swim. So I think that is my only approach. I will just throw them out there and I'll just learn to swim. Keep swimming. And that is the simplest approach. You will learn your way out from here.
Last question. What is your future plans? As in, do you have anything new, exciting coming up from work, on the work front? I know that you have another company also, I read, besides RampMyCity. Am I right?
Yeah. But that both are related to accessibility only. But yeah, work-wise, as we are scaling in different cities, our goal is that we keep on scaling into deeper pockets of India where we can pick up. Right now, we are mostly in tier 1 cities. Our goal is to also reach tier 2 cities and tier 3 cities. And also, I think we want to be a larger partner in a lot of real estate market, where these builders who are building these workspaces, residential, malls, railways, where they're building all these things. I hope that we can be partners with them through the work we do, because a lot of our cities are still not accessible, and if you get the right kind of design team right from the beginning, you will see a lot of opportunities opening up for person with disabilities where they find accessible spaces and they're not left behind. So that is our approach, that how to tie up with more commercial establishment with the government, and also how to penetrate into deeper pockets of India. So that is so yes, we are on a mission to build an accessible India, and yes, we are hopeful that in the next year, see Mr. Modi has given us the vision of 2047, right? India wants to be a developed nation. Now, no country is called developed till the time it is accessible first.
Yes.
So this message needs to go out to the government as well, that we need to be accessible first to be developed. And I'm sure in the coming years you will see much more intervention by the government, and we want to be partners with the government to make sure that the vision that government has of making this develop India, we can totally manifest it, and it's only not in the air. So that's what we are working towards at RampMyCity.
Thank you very much, Prateek. It was so wonderful chatting with you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Prateek Khandelwal's journey reminds us that inclusion is not a favor, it's a responsibility. Ramps may change buildings, but empathy changes societies. As cities grow taller and faster, the real question is, are we growing more inclusive? If this conversation moved you, share, comment, and don't forget to subscribe.